Mortal remains of Group Captain Varun Singh have reached Bhopal, cutting across to some of those visuals that you can see, live visuals on your screen, the nation paying homage. Group Captain Varun Singh succumbed yesterday. Mortal remains being flown were flown to Bhopal after a tribute that took place at Yelahanka Air Force Station in Bengaluru. What you're seeing there now are live visuals of the Group Captain. He succumbed to his injuries just yesterday. The Braveheart's mortal remains have now arrived in Bhopal for the final rites, which will take place tomorrow. The mortal remains of Group Captain Varun Singh were moved from Command Hospital to Air Force Station, Yelahanka, this morning. Floral tributes were paid to the Group Captain. He died after battling for life for 7 days. He was grievously rescued from the burning wreckage of the helicopter on December 8th. The devastating Mi-17 crash had killed 13 service personnel, including India's first CDS, General Bipin Rawat. Hemendra Sharma also with us now, joining us on the phone line. Let's go across to him. Hemendra, take us through, what we're seeing on the screen. Of course, we are seeing the nation paying tribute and Group Captain Singh succumbing there yesterday to those injuries.
Well, yes, tributes are being paid to Group Captain Varun Singh. His body has just arrived in Bhopal. A family of defense personnel. In fact, Group Captain Varun Singh's father, Colonel KP Singh, retired from the Indian Army and settled down in Bhopal. Originally resident of Uttar Pradesh, but now resident of Bhopal. So, Colonel KP Singh, representing the Indian Army, his elder son Varun Singh with the Indian Air Force, and younger son is with the Indian Navy in Mumbai, posted right now in Mumbai. Right now, tributes have been paid. The tragic chopper crash in which top Indian general, the CDS, General Bipin Rawat, 12 others, and now Group Captain Varun Singh, they were martyred. So, a lot of emotional scenes out over here, outside the Bhopal Airport Cargo Terminal. Senior Army personnel, senior Army officers, air warriors, all present, district administration officials present, top police brass of the state present over here, and also public representatives, including local ministers. They are present. Tributes have been paid, and after the tribute ceremony is over, the body would be taken in this carriage which has been lined up, flower-decked carriage. The flower-decked carriage would take the body to the house of Group Captain Varun Singh's father. Their final respect, final homage, and for the relatives would be paid, and then in the evening at around 6 o'clock, 5:36, the body would be moved to the military hospital in Baragar, and tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., the last rites would be performed.
All right. The group captain, tell us a little bit more about him as well. Hemendra, you know, he had been conferred the Shaurya Chakra in August. He was an ace pilot. He survived by his wife, their son and daughter. Tell us a little bit more about the group captain as well.
Stories of valor of Group Captain Varun Singh. He risked his life, didn't care about his life when he saved the Tejas, and for which he was given the Shaurya Chakra as well. So there are a lot of stories of valor of Group Captain Varun Singh. His family, friends and his colleagues, they have been narrating them over here in Bhopal. And also the fact that he was the liaison officer for General Bipin Rawat, the CDS late General Bipin Rawat, on the tragic day of this chopper crash. He was supposed to take him to Wellington, and he had a flying history. He was a fighter pilot and had flown almost all the planes that are available with the Indian Air Force. So one of the top pilots of the Indian Air Force. He's no more. And
all right,
here
Hemendra, stay with us. I'm just going to go across to Shiv Arur in our newsroom. Shiv, the nation paying tribute, condolences pouring in from everywhere, including the Prime Minister. You know, a valiant captain, you know, conferred with several awards, finally succumbing to injuries yesterday.
Truly heartbreaking, truly painful, you know, images coming in from Bhopal. The mortal remains of Group Captain Varun Singh arrived just a short while ago by a special aircraft from Bengaluru, Abba, and one of the most, you know, poignant things about today, of course, is that today happens to be Vijay Parv. It's the 50th anniversary of the 1971 war. It's a day of national respect and felicitation to the Indian military. And here in Bhopal, you know, one family, you know, while all these felicitations and celebrations take place, has to bid goodbye to its loved one, and the nation joins them in doing so, because Group Captain Varun Singh, make no mistake, you know, wasn't just a soldier and a pilot. He was someone, you know, who had saved a war-waging asset, something that had won him a Shaurya Chakra in 2021 August. He was an incredibly talented test pilot. He was a flying instructor, someone who the Indian Air Force, you know, was looking up to, you know, to train the next generation of young pilots as well. He was someone who was extremely generous with his talent. He was also a viral phenomenon recently because of a beautifully self-effacing letter that he had written to his school in Chandigarh just after winning the Shaurya Chakra, where he had advised students not to worry if they are not very good in studies because the world has changed, and that he himself was a mediocre student who had bloomed late and excelled, you know, in military service. So he was only 39 years old. It's you know, when you look at the handsome face of Group Captain Varun Singh with his greying hair, you know, stress comes with the job of a military aviation pilot. He was 39 years old, 2 years younger than me. And Group Captain Varun Singh leaves behind a young family, a wife, 2 young children. It was a truly tri-service family as well, Abba. We should tell our viewers, Group Captain Varun Singh was from the Air Force. His father, Colonel KP Singh, is from the, you know, served in the army. Group Captain Varun Singh's own brother is a commander in the Indian Navy. So it's tri-service. There's Army, Air Force and Navy blood in this incredibly generous and brave family that has given so many heroes, you know, to the Indian, you know, to Indian service. Group Captain Varun Singh has dodged death, like we've been telling our viewers, you know, once before. He was a highly qualified fighter pilot. In October 2020, he was faced with a life and death situation while in the cockpit of an LCA Tejas, in which he chose to use his training to save both himself and the aircraft, which is a very, very difficult decision to make. You know, a lesser pilot would have simply pulled the ejection handle and saved himself, you know, not really worrying about what happens to the aircraft or people on the ground. But he used his training to stay in the cockpit and actually save it, and the government recognized him with a Shaurya Chakra. This time he survived that horrific chopper accident, fought for 7 days, was on life support, lingered between life and death. 1 billion prayers went up for him each day. You and I both know that, Abha. But sadly, his injuries were too grave, and that's the reason why we're all coming together to bid the brave pilot a very, very heartbroken farewell today. It
is heartbreaking, Shiv. As you said, he was, He was so young. He survived by 2 children, his wife, and a tragic crash that took place, where we saw such a substantial loss of life, of these servicemen, heading towards Wellington. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister, announced a compensation of ₹1 crore for the family. He was survived, as I said, by his wife and 2 children. And as you mentioned, he had such an interesting career trajectory, Shiv. He was one of the IAF test pilots to apply for the Gaganyaan program. He couldn't make the cut. And he cleared some initial tests, but he didn't really go that route. As you mentioned, later on, he was conferred the Shaurya Chakra. He became a ace test pilot, and he was a winner of the Shaurya Chakra for gallantry, aspiring astronaut who applied for that Gaganyaan mission. He averted a possible mid-air accident as well after his Tejas light combat aircraft developed a major technical snag last year, as you described. He had several, tributes to his name, and he will be remembered, deeply as a big loss to the nation. Everyone gathering there in Bhopal, as you can see, to pay tribute to the hero. Shiv?
Truly, such sad scenes. It's so difficult always, Abha, isn't it, to see, a soldier, a warrior, a military man or woman, in a casket with the Tiranga over it. I mean, there is this ironic sense of pride. But let me make it very clear that nobody ever wants to see caskets. All families, every one of us here in India today, all of our citizens would much rather, nobody wants to take inspiration from a Tiranga draped casket. We would much rather take inspiration from our heroes who are alive, who are fighting fit, and who haven't been lost to tragic accidents or crashes of this kind. So let's make that very clear. There is no pride in bidding farewell to our heroes. We would much prefer that they were actually alive. But Group Captain Varun Singh had a long future in the Air Force. Who knows, Abha? He could have been aiming for the very top. He could have been positioned for the very top role in the Air Force at some point. He was only 39 years old, long way to go, no signs of giving up. Was at the staff college as part of the directing staff, experimental test pilot. You don't get to be that unless you're the best of the best elite aviators in the Indian Air Force. 39 years old, he had age on his side. Young, energetic, a kind of go-to guy within the unit, all the units that he served in, highly respected by youngsters, seen as very reliable by his seniors, someone who was counted on by his peers as being, the guy who could get the job done. In the LCA Tejas squadron, he was part of that squadron, the 45 squadron in Sulur, and pilots were handpicked for that particular squadron, Abha, because this is an indigenous fighter aircraft. It needed, a certain amount of nurturing, a certain amount of love, a certain amount of talent to actually bring the real qualities of that aircraft into the real world. And Group Captain Varun Singh was one of the men who was entrusted with that extremely onerous duty. And it was in the line of that duty that he experienced that horrifying mid-air situation in an LCA Tejas in October last year, the handling of which finally won him a Shaurya Chakra in August this year. So let's make no mistake, as we weep, as we regret the images that we are playing out for our viewers today, as we grieve and we mourn with Group Captain Varun Singh's family, let's also make it very clear that it's pilots like Varun Singh who make the Air Force. It's pilots like Varun Singh who define and underscore the ethos and the amazing traditions of the Indian Air Force and the Indian military at large. These are fearless men and women who put their lives on the line every single day. Elsewhere from Bhopal, we're seeing a lot of politics being played over General Rawat, over the crash, over 1971 heroes. But, for the family that's actually grieving right now, this is a personal loss. Of course, there is strength to be had in the fact that the nation stands shoulder to shoulder with them. But at the end of the day, let's be realistic. let's recognize that at the end of the day, when all the cameras have moved away, when all the media is gone, when all the politicians have dissipated, when all the crowds have, gone back to their homes, it's one family, the family of Group Captain Varun Singh, that must mourn his loss and keep his legacy alive. And I would like to say on our behalf here at India Today that we will do everything we can to continue to tell the story of brave Group Captain Varun Singh.
We will. Shiv, do stay with us. Group Captain Singh wrote a letter a few months ago to students in the school that he studied in. In the letter he wrote, "It's okay to be mediocre and one should never lose hope." Here are a few inspiring excerpts from the letter that the ace fighter pilot and Shaurya Chakra awardee sent to his school principal to share with students.
Group Captain Varun Singh was a true braveheart with an illustrious career. The decorated officer had been awarded with a Shaurya Chakra this August for averting a possible mid-air accident when his Tejas light combat aircraft developed a major technical snag last year. A glimpse into why we call him a hero and what makes him a true inspiration. Group Captain Varun Singh, the only survivor of the horrific chopper crash, is no more. Every single one of us had been hoping and praying for the hero's recovery. And as he fought another battle for survival, we now grieve his demise. But we also pay tribute. Here's a glimpse into why we call him a hero. A glimpse into what made him a true inspiration. This is a letter that Group Captain Varun Singh wrote just a few months ago, right after he was awarded the Shaurya Chakra on Independence Day. This is a letter he wrote to his school about motivation, hard work and success. I want to share some thoughts about life which I feel may help and inspire children who might feel that they are meant to be only mediocre in this hyper-competitive world. It is okay to be mediocre. Not everyone will excel at school and not everyone will be able to score in the 90s. You may be mediocre in school, but it is by no means a measure of things to come in life. Find your calling. Whatever you work towards, be dedicated, do your best. Never go to bed thinking, I could have put in more effort. Never lose hope. Never think that you cannot be good at what you want to be. It will not come easy. It will take effort. It will require sacrifice of time and comfort. I was mediocre, and today I have reached difficult milestones in my career. Do not think that the 12th board marks decide what you are capable of achieving in life. Believe in yourself, work towards it. If I am able to inspire even one child to believe in himself or herself, I would have achieved my objective of writing to you. With heartfelt humility and gratitude, yours sincerely, Varun Singh.